Welcome to the time of year where I start recording way too late and it's pitch black outside and the lighting might not be as good as normal. Whoops. Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, where I talk about all of the crafty things that I have been up to over the past couple weeks. Today is November 7th, 2022, and I have 3 finished objects, a little bit of cross stitch, some cast-ons, acquisitions. I started a knitting journal that I'm going to show you. This might be a long one. So I hope you're ready with a cup of tea, something to knit on, something to cross stitch. And I'm really excited to jump on in and show you everything today. Before we jump on in though, there are a few places you can find me on the internet. The main one is birchandlilyfiber.com. You can also find me on Instagram at birch.and.lily. And you can check out my Patreon if you're interested in supporting me in that way. So thank you so much for joining me. If you're new or if you're not, it really means a lot to me. And let's jump on in. So the first thing I will show you is what I'm wearing. This is one of my 3 finished objects. This is my Lakes pullover that I finished not too long, maybe a week ago now. The pattern was just released on Saturday, I think. So here is mine. Enjoy my crazy leggings because you know, it's late in the evening and it's legging time. So this is mine. I knit the size 4. I knit this out of Blue Sky Fibers Woolstok worsted, which I actually really enjoyed working with. And yeah, I will come closer. You can basically see the sweater while I'm talking, and I feel weird talking with no face on camera. So center myself again. So yeah, I knit this out of the Woolstok worsted. I will say, I don't know what happened, but I ordered, or I purchased, I think 13 skeins of this and I have 4 left. So I don't know what happened with that. If they gave me lots of extra yardage in the skeins maybe or something. They were supposed to be 50-gram skeins. I'm not complaining. I will happily find something else to knit with that yarn, so it's not the end of the world at all. But yeah, I was shocked at how much extra yarn I had left. But like, I don't want to make, I guess, did I make my sleeves? I guess my sleeves are an inch shorter than the pattern calls for, but my body is the correct length, so I don't know what's happening with that. This sweater is so nice though. I got to wear it out this past weekend actually, to dinner, and it was really nice. The perfect warmth for this time of year. So it's a beautiful sweater. It has twisted rib everywhere. This collar is folded over, which I really love. I've come to realize that all my sweaters with the folded over collars I love the most. I think it just gives the collar a little bit more structure so it doesn't stretch out and get so floppy. Because I do have like my, what's it called, Briar and Bramble sweater from Caitlin Hunter. That one doesn't have a folded over collar, and I found after wearing it for a while it definitely stretched and started doing some interesting things. So we'll see. I haven't worn this for like a full day. I don't know if I've worn any of my sweaters with folded over collars for a full day. Like, I'll put them on when I go out, but I don't wear them around the house terribly much because I'm usually cleaning or something. Or my dog is getting fur all over them, which I should just be used to by now if we're being honest, because she's a corgi and she sheds. But there's also that. So yeah, we'll see, and I'll try and remember to keep you posted on how this collar wears and stretches out. But right now, even after wearing it that one time out, I'm really happy with the fit. So that's a good place to be in, I guess. But yeah, the construction of this is beautiful. As you can see, this is called a saddle shoulder. So you knit actually this panel and this panel first, and then pick up stitches on both sides of it to create the front and the back of the sweater. The collar on the neck is the last thing that you do on this sweater, or at least that's how it's written in the pattern. You can knit whatever order you want, other than obviously, I guess you have to start the body first no matter what. But you could knit the collar first or the sleeves first, depending on what you felt like. But yeah, that saddle shoulder is really, really neat. I had knit one saddle shoulder before. That was on my Gaia sweater, but that one, I don't know if I should have knit a size up or if the shaping's just a little incorrect with that pattern, but I wasn't as big of a fan of how that saddle shoulder fit compared to this one. So very pleased with this sweater in that aspect as well. All of it is 1x1 ribbing. The only thing I changed knitting the ribbing, the pattern called to do the cuffs of the sleeves and the hem of the body, the ribbing in the same needle that you knit the body with. I did drop down to the needle that was called for the collar, just because I know I knit my ribbing pretty loose, and I knew I would be happier if I did drop down to that ribbing needle size. So yeah, that's really the only modification I made, if that's even, I guess it is technically a modification, and I guess that could have technically as well changed and been part of the reason why I didn't use as much yarn, because my ribbing is a little bit more snug. But yeah, very, very happy with this pattern. Ozetta knits, or yeah, she knits and designs beautiful, beautiful patterns. And I'm very pleased that I got to test this one for her. So that is that. That is my legs pullover. I do have one other garment to show you, but before we do that, let's jump into my held together hat. Now, this is ever so slightly damp, but I just finished it last night. This is my held together hat that I knit for my husband. Now, this is not, well, he could wear it this way if he wanted to, but I know he's not going to. I knit this, and the pattern is designed as well so that you can wear it with a folded brim. So that is how he will end up wearing it, I'm sure. I knit this out of yarn from a dyer who is no longer dyeing. They were called Haven Fiber Arts, and this colorway is called October. Maybe you have it somewhere in your deep stash. I do not know. But yeah, I knit the adult size large for him, and I'm very, very happy. It actually, you know what, it's a little damp, but let's put it on my head because it fits me too. So that's what it looks like on me, because I have a really large head. So yeah, he's really excited about it. I think it's gonna look great on him and be really nice for the colder weather, because it is knit with fingering weight held double. And that, I'm just gonna unfold this so you can see. But that's how you get that really cool marled look on the stripe, is by holding the contrast color and your main color double. And then the rest of it is just knit with the main color held double. I'm really happy with how my decreases at the top of the hat turned out as well. It is a really simple hat, but I kind of liked that because I carried it around and knit it like I would like a pair of vanilla socks. So it was something a little bit different. Plus, it's just so squishy. I wouldn't mind actually knitting one for myself. It was really nice too because it used up a whole skein of this main color. So that's another skein out of my stash, which is also a very wonderful thing as well. So yeah, I will put this back on the blocking mat. It has a wee bit more to dry. Thankfully, the weather is half decent and he doesn't really need this yet. So that's good. He's not like waiting. Technically, it's supposed to be a Christmas present, but he's seen it the whole time I'm knitting it, and I want him to get use out of it, so I'm just gonna give it to him once it's dry. But yeah, held together hat, Lindsey Fowler. It was a fast knit once I actually sat down and worked on it. I think I knit half of this yesterday, so fast knit. Okay, I'm gonna do a quick costume change and then I can show you my second garment. Okay, so you know how I was terrified of running out of yarn for this? I didn't. I was just being overly dramatic. It was weird to me that, I don't know, I used 4 skeins for the body and then I only had 2 skeins left for the sleeves, but it worked. Anyways, this is my hot dish cardigan. The pattern is not out yet. It will be out, we just got the date, I think the 11th, so that should be this weekend. But this pattern is from Lindsey Fowler. I noticed when I was writing these show notes, it's going to be a Lindsey Fowler day. I just love her patterns. They're beautiful. They're so well written. And if this one reminds you of anything, it's knit to kind of be, I don't know if it technically is supposed to be a companion with the held together hat, but it uses a lot of the same techniques. So let me stand up. So I did not think the leggings through with this one. But this is my hot dish cardigan. It is the first ever cardigan I have knit, and I am so proud. It's the first time I've put buttons on something. So many firsts with this. Yeah, I'm really excited about this piece. It has this beautiful ribbing. Ooh, hard to remember how to show this on camera. This way. Beautiful ribbing running down the side here. That it doesn't run underneath on the sleeve though, but that is fine. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Shockingly happy. Anyways, I will come closer. So yeah, I can't believe I knit a cardigan. I don't think I thought I would ever knit a cardigan. I'm off center. I don't think I thought I would ever knit a cardigan because I don't like purling, but I pushed through and I did it, and I think it's really cute. So yeah, it's got that same marling going on the cuffs, the button band, and the hem, kind of like I said, like the held together hat. And then yeah, I don't know, nothing terribly crazy about it. Like, it's a basic stockinette cardigan, but I think it will match with a lot of stuff, and that's what I'm most excited about with it. Also, once I blocked it, it lost some of that. Obviously, blocking is magical, but it lost a little bit of that stiffness I felt on it from holding the yarn double, and now it's just cushy and drapey and really nice. So I'm quite pleased. Modification wise, what did I do? Modification wise, I did knit the sleeves, I think, an inch shorter, and I had to pick up, I'm gonna have to stand up for this for a sec again, but on the button band here, you pick up stitches from this to about where you see this curve here, and I did have to pick up extra stitches on there, just because my row gauge was off a little bit, so I knit more rows, which meant I had to pick up more. So I did have to modify that ever so slightly. All I ended up doing on the pattern itself, the first button is like sitting about there, so I just knit until I had dealt with all my extra stitches and then started putting the buttons on, if that makes sense. Because, or I guess technically the first thing you do is the buttonholes. So that's what I did to put in the buttonholes. There's a buttonhole. That was terrifying, by the way, but I figured it out, thank goodness. Because yeah. No cutting holes, thankfully. It was just like inserting holes in the knitting, but it made me nervous. Anyways, yeah, so that's all I did. I figured I would be fine. Like, actually, I've never buttoned this whole thing up. Let's do that. I figured I would be fine having that little bit of extra space at the bottom of the cardigan, as opposed to like the buttons not going all the way up to the curve on the cardigan, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Another modification I had to make, these buttons are quite large, and the buttonhole was a little too small, so I did add some extra stitches in there as well. I hope that makes sense, but okay, it's pretty cute buttoned up too. So that leaves it a little, yeah, I'm fine with that. If I could figure out how to lay that, yeah, okay, that's really cute buttoned. I am pleased. I might actually leave that, what is it? I don't know if I'd ever wanna, like, this is where it called for the button to go at the top, but I don't know, this buttonhole is a little tight. Oh, see, I don't know if I would ever button that top one. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have put the button down here. No, it looks cute unbuttoned. I'm overthinking things. I don't know how often I'll wear it buttoned anyways, if I'm being honest, but it's cute. If we're being honest, I was also quite nervous to attach the buttons, but I watched a couple tutorials and figured that out. But you have to see, look how adorable they are though. Oh gosh, there we go. Cover my face. It will focus. They're just so sweet. Got that little floral pattern on them. So I was talking to my husband kind of about, I didn't know what kind of button I wanted to put on this, but once he mentioned wooden buttons, I was like, oh yes, for sure. So then I went to my yarn store and was kind of hunting around and saw these little ones with the rose carved into them, I guess they would be, or like wood burned. And I was like, oh yes, that is the button for me. So that is what I picked, and I put them on, and I probably secured them too tightly. Not too tightly, but I was overly cautious attaching them. So they're very snugly on there. They are not coming off. The only thing I'm worried about, or that actually I would like some advice about, with these being wooden buttons, if I need to wash this, I don't know if I can still, can I wash it? I'm just worried it will wreck my little wooden buttons. And I'm not about to cut them off every time I have to clean this. So your opinions on what to do with a cardigan with wooden buttons on it would be much appreciated. But yeah, that is my hot dish cardigan yarn. So the yarn I used for this, I don't think I've said yet, is the main color is a new colorway that will be coming in my Christmas collection. I'm going to be starting dyeing that up soon. I meant to do it even sooner, but life has been crazy the past little bit. So you'll expect to see that probably mid-November. But this colorway will be a part of it just because I came up with it between the last collection and now. And I did come up with a name for it. It's going to be called Steel. So this is Steel on Birch sock, which is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, held double. And then the other two yarns in here that you see in the stripes, they were both just scraps that I pulled out of my scrap bins. I don't even know if they have names. I thought I had them here with me, but I don't, so I can't even check. But they were scraps. So I'm pretty sure the one skein does not even have a ball band in it, and the other one, who knows. But yeah, I am very, very happy with this. If you're looking to knit it and you're looking to hunt for yarn for when it releases, I knit a size 7 and I used about 2,200 yards of the main color, and then the contrast colors, I think I only needed like 45 yards for each, so you could totally get away with using minis for the contrast colors on the cardigan. So yeah, that is my hot dish cardigan. This is going to be a long one. That's okay. Let's jump into my whips since we are done with finished objects. First, well, actually, I think, oh no, they're not all new cast-ons. I was going to say I thought these were new cast-ons, but they are not. My first work in progress, I did just cast on last night. And like I said, this is going to be the Lindsey Fowler show. I cast on an Agate beach hat. This is from her, gosh, shame on me. The new book she came out with. Why can't I think of the name? I'm so embarrassed. I'm sure I'll put it on the screen. I didn't write it down and I can't think of the name. That's Salt and Timber? Is that it? I don't know. Anyways, this is the Agate beach hat. I am knitting a child size of this for a, goodness, words tonight. I'm knitting a child size of this for a baby shower gift. I'm going to also knit a little pair of socks to go along with it too. So yeah. This is a small, I think it's the small child size is what they call it. All I have is the brim done. I think I have about 1/2 inch left to go on this. It looks so tiny, but it's also super stretchy. I have about 1/2 inch left to go on this brim, and then I will move into the body of the hat. So the yarn I'm using, this is the main color. The pattern calls for 3 colors of yarn. So this is Fiber for the People on their Loft base, which is the 75-25. Superwash Merino is 75-25 is nylon. And the colorway is Seaglass. And then the 2 contrast colors that I'm going to be putting in here, I pulled from scrap because that's what I've been doing lately and I love it. So they're all 75-25 actually. This here is from Sugarplum Circus. This one's called Seaglass. And then this one here is a one-of-a-kind from Autumn and Indigo. I think I used this in my shawlography last year. So all of the colors are kind of marled together in the hat. I'm sure I've posted a picture on here, but that is all of them together. I'm really excited to see how those look. I think it's going to look great. And then I don't know, I'm gonna at least knit one little pair of socks out of one of these. Maybe I'll knit 3. We'll see how ambitious I'm feeling. I have until the end of this month. I think the shower is the 25th or something like that of November. So I have lots of time, and it's going really fast, and it's baby knits. They're not something that takes a lot of time. So yeah, and I am, I think I've talked about my gauge on here recently about how I learned how loosely I knit. I never thought I would knit loosely, but I do. I've had to drop a lot of needle sizes. This one, for example, I had to drop down to a 2.75 millimeter needle from like, gosh, I think the pattern called for a 4 millimeter. So I'm playing with different tension things with this because I figured it's a baby hat, and I'm playing with different ways of tensioning my yarn. So, because I knit continental, and I think, at least I've read some places and like heard with other people talking, that continental knitters tend to knit a little bit more loosely than English. And I do know for a fact, I didn't show that bag. I do know for a fact that I don't want to switch to English knitting. So it's just a matter of figuring out a new way to tension my yarn. But that little hat I have in this project bag from Birch Grove. And like I had mentioned, I pulled out some cross stitch. I think now that I have finished up all of those test knits, I feel like I have a little bit of room in my head for some cross stitch. So I pulled out this one, this bag. I think it's from Pretty Southern. I don't know if she's doing bags at the moment because she has a cute little 1-year-old. But this is Adorn Your Heart from Plum Street Samplers. And what am I doing here? I'm using all of the called for threads. Some really pretty colors. So there's a mix of Overdyes and DMC in there. And then I'm using Color and Cotton, their July 2020 Fabric Club. This colorway was called Pearwood. It's a 40 count linen, and I did just a tiny bit today, but it was nice to pull some cross stitch out again. I really enjoyed it. So I worked on that flower there in the bottom. I guess that's your bottom right. Hopefully it stays that way. Worked on that, and then I did work on the trunk on that tree a little bit too. So yeah, nothing crazy, but I really enjoyed pulling that out and just doing something a little bit different. So I'm stitching that 1 thread over 2 linen threads, and we'll see if I end up working on that anymore this next coming couple weeks, but it was fun to pull it out and do something a little bit different. And then the other project that I pulled out and worked on before we get into all the other fun stuff, knitting journal. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to show you, but we need to do this first. I pulled out a pair of socks that I'm knitting for my mom. I took the Hibernation House socks pattern from Lindsey Fowler, and I'm kind of just modding it and doing my own thing. But I held 2 yarns double for the cuff of the sock, and then this is just what I'm using for the main part of the sock. This here is Diamond Select, so it is a commercial yarn. Winter Flower yarn in colorway number 8. It is a self-striping, which is fun. My mom picked that one out. And then this here is some leftover Sugarplum Circus Surrey in Seaglass. So, oh, here's the bag I have it in too. This is another Birch Grove bag. And oh gosh, I should remember where this pin is from, but I don't, and I'm so sorry. If I can find notes on it in some other podcast, I'll link it below. I will try. But it depends how much time I have to search. And since I'm recording this late, I might have to edit tomorrow morning, which means I won't have much time because it has to go up tomorrow night. So we'll see. But this is where I am. So as you can see, I held the Surrey double for the cuff. I did a 2x2 rib. The pattern, I think Hibernation House socks call for a 1x1 twisted rib. So I knit that twice as long and then folded over the cuff. So it's nice and squishy. And then I'm working away on the foot. So for the pattern on the top of the sock there, All I'm doing is 2 rows of knit 1, purl 1, and then 2 rows of purl 1, knit 1, and just alternating that continuously throughout the sock. And then the heel is just a slip stitch heel flap and gusset. I cast on 64 stitches for these socks. So yeah, it's been nice. I haven't worked on socks in like so long. So it's been really nice to pull them out and do something a little different. So there's the texture, you can see it a bit better. So my plan is to finish these for my mom before Christmas because they've been on the needles for a long time. She purchased that yarn herself and asked if I would knit her a pair of socks out of it. So it's been long enough. They need to be done. Yeah, so like I said, I have some other fun stuff to talk about. The first thing I wanted to show, I know I've been talking about knitting Harlow hats for like 2 weeks now. I wound up the yarn for them. I was gonna cast them on today, but I just didn't have time to do a swatch. And because this is in brioche, I definitely wanted to do a swatch just because I'm a loose knitter, and with my brioche, I get even looser. So I gotta figure out what needle size I want to use for these hats. But this one, the top color there, that's Black Currant from my yarn store, Birch and Lily Fiber Co. And the bottom is Denim Pansy, also from my shop. I have noticed, because I look at the analytics on my shop, that a lot of you are looking at blackcurrant and then trying to check out and noticing it's not in stock. If you want blackcurrant, I will dye it for you and it will not take me long at all. I can have it done and shipped to you in less than a week, likely, depending on drying time, but less than a week. So if you are interested in like a sorter quantity of blackcurrant or something, hit me up. I am happy to dye it for you. I would love to dye it for you. But yeah, so these are both on my Birch sock base, and I will be knitting or casting on a Harlow hat with that. And I'm really excited. I have the Harlow hat pattern printed out and it's sitting where I work on most of my projects, and I've been dying to cast it on. So I just had to finish those test knits, and now that I have, I'm really pleased. Something else I wanted to show. I got the 2 Progress Keeper sets that I pre-ordered from Hello Lavender from her Garden Walk collaboration with Blueberry Fiber Co. I was so excited to get them, and I've been waiting to put them on any projects until I could show. But are those not just gorgeous? And now she has the lever backs available for them, and I just have so much easier of a time using the lever back like earring closure. So then, how do I show this with, they just snap shut like that and then pop back open, which I find so much easier to use compared to a lobster clasp. So I'm really excited that that option is available now as well, because that tends to be my preference. But yeah, I'm so excited that these came in. They're so cute. She showed in her stories, gosh, a month ago now, and I know she's been really busy working on these Garden Walk orders and trying to get them out on time, but these really adorable little pumpkin ones that she is listing at some point. I don't know when. I've been stalking her Instagram page trying to see when she's going to release them, because I would love to snag a little pumpkin. Pumpkins are my favorite. If you could see our living room in our house and the amount of pumpkins I have decorating that room, because that is the room that I sit in and knit the most, there are so many pumpkins. Last year my husband counted and I think there was like 20 of them, and this year I have definitely at least doubled that. So pumpkins are great. Anyways, I wanted to show you my knitting journal that I've started. I got this idea from, I literally just started this a couple days ago, but I got this idea from, I think, Andrea Mowry's most recent episode on YouTube. And what she does is takes a journal and kind of, when she finishes a project, takes down notes of like maybe modifications that she made, or like needle size, yarn she used, that sort of thing. And so I thought I would do that too. Just kind of as like, I've always wanted to be a journaler, and I just can't get into it no matter how hard I try. So I thought this would be a fun way to memorialize like knitting that I've done, and just kind of have a fun little little journal to flip through. I'm putting little scraps of yarn in it, and I don't know, I just thought it was a really, really neat idea. So like, for example, I don't know if I'll add more notes to this, like the page isn't full, so maybe I'll add more notes later down the line, but I also wanted to leave space too in case I decided like I wanted to put a photo in there of it or something down the line. So here's an example. It's my hemlock sweater. I put that it was a test knit, the needles I used, the yarn I used, and then I did cut like a little bit of the yarn there and tape it into the journal as well. So like, here's one for the Held Together hat, and then my hot dish cardigan. So then I wrote that I knit that one for my husband Chris, and then I kind of have a note of like the stuff I did. Actually, I should write the size I knit on there as well, now that I'm thinking about it. But then I kind of have notes of what I did if I want to come back to it later and maybe do another one or something like that. But I am going to write adult size large. I should do that for all of these really quick before I forget. Because then too, like everything, God forbid, Ravelry disappeared on us at some point and I didn't have all of the patterns saved in there still, but then I could go back and look at the pattern on Ravelry and just kind of see measurements and stuff and say, you know, hey, I really liked how my hemlock sweater fits and I knit a size 2 for that one, so what are the measurements for that? And then I could kind of say, I want this sweater that I'm about to knit to fit the same as my hemlock sweater, so I want to pick measurements close to what I knit for that. So yeah, I think it's really cute. Now, a lot of these sweaters in here, I don't remember when my finish date was, but I am going to start, like I did here for the Held Together hat, writing when I finished it as well. I know I'll never remember to write down when I started it because I just cast on like a mad woman and I don't pay attention to that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to hold myself accountable to writing down the start date, but I do want to write down when I finished it. So yeah, I had this journal kicking around and I thought it would be a great way to use it and kind of keep a little memory of everything that I've knit. So if that's something you're interested in, I don't know, I think it's really cool and I think it would be fun to see what you guys do if you did a knitting journal as well. So that is my new thing and I'm really excited about it and I'm really excited to see what happens with it. I think it would be fun to get like a little, I've seen those little Polaroid like printers so you can print photos off your phone and they kind of look like they came from a Polaroid camera, and I think that would be really cool to then like print those off and stick them in here somehow. So that's something I've thought about. We'll see. I have all the time in the world. It's my journal. I can do what I want. It's never going to be as intense as Andrea Mowry's because she writes notes about like when she's writing patterns and stuff, and I haven't written a pattern in ages. But I thought it was really, really cool. So looking around here, I cleaned in here. Hello, train. I cleaned in here today. I'll wait for the train. I cleaned in here today and it looks so wonderful. And I can also tell that I have nothing else sitting around me to talk about. So yeah, let me know what you're working on down in the comments. And if you liked what you saw today, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, make sure you turn on notifications so you know when I have uploaded a new video. My regular uploading schedule is every second Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But every once in a while, I will sprinkle in a reel or something else fun. So definitely keep your eye on the channel for all the new things that are coming out. Make sure you're following me on Instagram as well. And check out the website to see all of the beautiful yarn I have available. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. It means the world. And I will see you again in the next one. Bye!